think that's the thing. And I think one thing that, and maybe we're coming up to it, so I don't know, we can get into it now. But that's one thing that the game does not a bit better. They're both do it similar, where with the whole idea of this vaccine, there's a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Like it's not sold as a given thing.
No, I agree. I think they made that clear in the show. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
cut her. So let's just get to that part. So they, after the reading the puns, Ellie and Joel are taken by this group. They find out it's the Fireflies. Joel wakes up and Marlene's in the room, and she's like, "So we have a doctor. He thinks if we cut her brain open and remove the cordyceps, that we might be able to." Like it's also what ifs, maybes, buts. It did not feel like there was actually confidence that this was going to lead to a cure. It wasn't like a cut and dry, this is our cure, this is it. Unfortunately, Ellie's going to die. And it's actually Joel who makes that connection. He's like, but cut it out of her. Cordyceps is in the brain. And Marlene is like, yeah, don't worry, we didn't tell her, which is so messed up. I understand not wanting to cause fear in her, but you're not even letting her make this choice. Like so
Hmm.
messed up of them to just say, we're not going to tell her, we're just going to cut her open and kill her for science. And I did think it
I
was so
totally
open
agree.
ended that like I understood Joel, and I think this is where we get to Joel's morally very gray area. But I understood his vehement response of like, you're not just going to cut her brain
100%.
open for a what if and a gamble.
No, no, absolutely. And I think I'm not going to say it's a criticism on the writing itself, but it kind of begs the question, like it for how it went down, this is how it had to happen. But it begs the question of like, if you want, because I think what Neil Druckmann was trying to do, like the writer, both writers at this
Mm-hmm.
point, I think they were trying to broach it of like, it could be one or the other. Maybe Joel's right. Maybe these people are validated, but they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, both in the game and in this scene, because they immediately rush Ellie into a surgery. They don't let Joel see her. So in the game, it happens only slightly differently, where they're in some tunnel or something, and it's Ellie. Both of them get knocked out,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're taken to the hospital. And Ellie's immediately prepped for surgery without ever regaining consciousness. She never knows that they're
Oh,
fireflies.
right.
And so it's more or less it's the same, but
Yeah.
it's just like how can you sympathize with these people when they don't speak to Ellie about it? They don't tell her like they don't even want to make sure that it's okay, like if she's okay with this sacrifice. They don't give her a day. They don't give her even a last fucking meal. They don't let
No.
Joel see her who traveled with her for essentially a year at this point or close to it.
I think they must want you to relate to Joel more because I was fully on board with Joel's. I mean, he made some
Oh, me
messed up
too.
decisions
Yeah.
in this next scene that I don't know that I could agree with, but the way
No,
that
no,
they went
same.
about it was so morally disgusting as well. It's like it is such an interesting conversation about who is right here because yes, the greater good and you want to do something to save society, totally. But to go about it in this destructive way, you can have the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And the way that
100%.
they're acting here, disgusting and despicable. And like you can't agree with it. You can't just take away someone's free will and take away their life involuntarily and then act like you're not a murderer. Like you just can't.
Exactly. And I don't think it should be dwelled upon too much or like but so in the game you can collect like as most video games have there's little collectibles and whatnot, so
Mm-hmm.
throughout the game there's little audio files. When you come to this area you can get one and it's from the doctors who are working on this vaccine, and in the recording or maybe it's a note, um they say how they have found immune people before, and every time they've tried to make a vaccine it's failed and the person that they try to get it out has
Mm-hmm.
died. So that like now that's just a little add-on collectible. So I don't, in my mind, I always because I was always for Joel's decision 100%. But I use that as like, and look, here's they're even
Justification.
admitting that,
Yeah.
but I don't think that that should have been in the game or and I'm glad they didn't put this idea in the show outside of Joel's just like guesswork, because I think it does. I think that it makes the decision more kind of
Morally
fucked.
ambiguous.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Better, a more poetic way of saying it. Um,
Yeah.
by being like it's a maybe. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
a probably not, but hey, let's try it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, let's just get right into it because it's at this moment where Marlene is an idiot. Do you not know what Joel's capable of at this point?
Yeah.
Two guys, just take him out and escort him out. And if he tries anything, shoot him. And then just he immediately turns on them. And that scene, again, I don't think I'm supposed to feel this way, but watching Joel just go through and take everybody down, like I was on his side, but I was so shocked. The one guy who surrendered and like put his weapons down and put his hands up and then he still shot him. I was like, okay, Joel, what are you doing? Like, I'm really trying to be on your side. This is so messed up. But he was in a take no prisoners moment and you just lens on like I'm finding my daughter. And I don't know, I couldn't totally fault him for it, but like I get how messed up it was and it was messed up. And Joel is kind of morally fucked, as you would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with that analysis, and that's why I think I love the ending. I think that this is like when season 2 comes out, we'll have that whole discussion. There's no spoilers here, but all that's worth saying is this was such a beautiful masterclass of a self-contained story that is just perfection. And this ending is so great because it's so controversial. You could totally say with great utility that Joel is morally ambiguous here, and like he was too
Or like
brutal.
morally wrong, you could even
Yeah,
argue,
you could, and now
certainly.
I would wholeheartedly disagree, but at
Of
least in
course you
this
do.
situation, I can see where someone is coming from
There's a
because
debate there.
yeah,
There
exactly, and
is.
like that is fantastic writing.
Well, and
Um,
polarizing your audience is like one of the best things you can do because it gets people so invested and gets people talking about it. And I'm sure there are people out there that was like, that was so over the top. It was disgusting. Like, we shouldn't be glorifying this kind of action. And I agree with them. But at the same time, I just feel like I can understand where Joel is coming from. When the people you love are in danger, you turn into almost an animalistic side of yourself of, I'm going to do whatever I can. And he made the decision. He was going to do whatever the hell he had to do. And it was crazy, and it probably was not the right thing to do. And
yeah,
probably Ellie wouldn't have wanted him to either, because that
no,
moment after he's
no
gone
chance.
through everything, and Marlene finds him in the garage, and she's like, you're taking her choice away from her, just like we are. You don't know that she wouldn't go through with this, which I think is very gaslighting of Marlene. Like, come on, okay, you
Yeah,
took
it
her choice
was.
away
She's right,
first.
but totally it was gaslighting.
Yeah.
Um,
And I loved though how they left that scene kind of ambiguous for a second. She's like, you can still get away from this. She puts her gun down. And then next thing you see is Joel driving away with this defeated look on your face. And I was like, she's in the back seat. She's in the back seat. But you, for a couple seconds, you don't know. And then it shows Ellie in the back. And he has his lie ready to go. And, explains what you just said, that, there's been many infected or immune people. They haven't been able to make it work. Raiders came out of nowhere. I had to save you. And then it cuts back to his moment with Marlene, where he just, again, this was so
I love
ruthless.
it.
He shoots
I
her
love it so
and
much.
she's like, please just let me go. And he's like, you'll just come
You
after
just
her.
come
And he
after me.
kills her. Like, what? That was messed up, man. That was so messed up. But also, Team
Totally.
Joel.
It was, yeah, Team Joel 100%. I have no shame in saying it. So that the ending, I'm so glad that, like you said, how they did the cuts. So that's exactly how it went down in the game, and I'm really glad that they did that to build that suspense. Because for
Mm-hmm.
the first time going through, you kind of know, but you don't. You're not sure. You're like, wait, did he? And especially
Yeah.
to Pedro, he's got the like, you see like this like doubt in his eyes, and then
Yeah.
no, I yeah. So okay, like you are. Let's summarize here. Are you Team Joel? Like, did he make the right decision? And you can contextualize what right is in this
Yeah.
situation.
I do not think Joel made the right decision, but at the same time, I personally am really happy that he saved Ellie. I think the way he went about it was really, he crossed a line. He crossed a line that a lot of people in their lives don't. And I don't think as a person, when you do that, you can ever come back from it. So I think that maybe season 2 is going to see how this impacts their relationship. What's kind of messed up of me, because maybe this says that I am morally an ambiguous person, I think it's worse that he lied to her about it. And you can see in the end episode, in the end clip, where she kind of out of the blue, he's rambling about Sarah and the similarities between Sarah and Ellie and how they would love each other. And she kind of turns to him and she's like, tell me honestly, did everything go down the way you're telling me with the fireflies? Swear it. And he says, yeah, I swear. And you can just tell she doesn't believe him. And I think that's going to fester in their relationship. And I don't think he should have lied to her. I think he should have been honest and let her make that choice. And it's selfish of him. Again, he has his daughter back and he doesn't want to lose her and he's acting selfishly. I think that's the worst. I mean, it's not worse than murder, but I think that it compounds the bad things he did to save her by not even letting her make that final decision for herself and being honest with her about what happened. So I love Joel and I'm still Team Joel and I'm so happy he saved her, but I don't think I could have done those things and I don't think it was the right thing to do, even though it selfishly makes me happy. What do you
Mhm.
think?
I think that's actually a great analysis. I think you hit the nail on the head when ultimately Joel is selfish. This is a selfish decision. Um, but I agree with you. I think that the lie was the worst part. I understand why he did it, but I don't agree with that. But everything up until that, I think he made the right choice. Now, yes, he was brutal and perhaps went over the top. There's a man who has yielded and he's killed him.
That was too much.
He's on a rampage. But I think Now, I'm not saying that I'm capable of these things. I will never be in a situation where this is a reality, and thank
Never
God
know.
for that, because I would fail. I would just get shot. I would never make it to the hospital, but I would. When I went to in the stairwell, I would just get shot in the back of the head. But I think I don't want to be too critical here, but for the opposing viewpoint, which I know you haven't taken, I think it's disingenuous to say that, like it was over, like it was, he shouldn't have done it, because I don't know if you could ask any parent, I cannot imagine that any parent would be like, oh yeah, no, that's like that
No, I get it.
he would be more in the right to just let this happen. Now I did, yeah, it was very violent, but I think they kind of deserved it. And I loved seeing Joel on the rampage.
The rampage
I
was
think it's
great.
warranted. Like I think it was warranted. Now the killing of the doctor,
The
what's
doctor
this
had a
man gonna do
scalpel.
with the
Like he was
scalpel?
exactly. That was too
Yeah.
much. I don't even know if he killed the nurses, but he didn't on screen. Thank God. I think the writers
So in
realized
the
that that
game,
would
it's
have
the
been too
player's
much.
choice, and you don't have to like everyone go. It's so hilarious because when you go in, you're in this mood, and everyone lights up the whole room. But you can actually just take Ellie without killing any of the doctors, and you can just leave.
Oh my
Um,
God. I would
I don't
love to
know
know
if
the
you're forced to kill the
percentages
first
of
one.
who
I can't
doesn't
believe
kill
it's
them and who
any,
does.
because because you like you're in that mode. Like there's
You got the
fine.
bloodlust.
Maybe people's values are different, but I like for the average person, I think people do value their close relations, the people they love, over like some bigger picture.
Well, especially
And
when it's a
I
video
don't
game, it's
think
not
that
a
that's a
real choice you're
wrong.
making. It's
No,
like,
no, but I think it's a
you're
good
playing the
insight
game.
into the human heart. Um,
It's
because
a
I
little
think there will be a
much.
lot of controversy about it.
Well, and even like what he says to Marlene, you just come after her. How are they going to know where you are? Like it's overkill. It was a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
and it's hard to justify. And I can't justify it, but at the same time, I just again, my hands were over my mouth the whole scene, but I was like rooting for Joel the whole time. I
Yeah.
obviously didn't want anyone to take him down, but I think that this is going to be an open dialogue in articles that write about this, Twitter where everyone goes mad, Reddit, whatever. And I'm sure that people have really polarizing views on this. And I think there's a lot of people that like us are like, oh, Team Joel, that was sick. But there are definitely people out there who are like, this is just glorifying violence and this was way too far. And there's cases to be made for all. But I do think what you said about any parent who has the opportunity to save their child, I don't know, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that you would go to any lengths possible. And I think that's what they're trying to
You would
show,
do it.
even if it is a little bit of a selfish choice. I mean, he wants to save
Yeah,
Ellie,
sure.
not
Love is
purely.
selfish though.
Well,
Like,
wow, you just opened up a big box. But yeah, in a way, it really is. And I
I mean,
mean,
that
he was
level of
driven
it,
by that.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
like it's
it's
an
like
unhealthy
obsession in a weird
degree. Yeah,
way.
it is. But no, no, like I think you're right. There will be a lot of conversation. I think, like again, I think that just shows the masterclass of the writing.
Yeah,
I'm firm in my stance, but I think it's great that there is a conversation. But like you said with the parent thing, I think there's just something in us as
yeah.
a species
That
where
if
we
when it
just,
gets triggered, it will have like you'll just take
yeah,
over.
it's just like there are things that are like the things I value are more important than the things that you value when push comes to shove.
Inherent
Um,
selfishness in all of us.